Welcome to the Land to House YouTube channel. I'm Seth. This is the Bluetti AC200P. It has a lithium iron phosphate battery rated at 2,000 watt hours, 40 amp hour, and it also has a pure sine wave inverter capable of doing 2,000 watts. Has wireless charging, it's got all kinds of DC ports, and a really great touch screen. So let's go ahead and dive into an unboxing, look at all the things that come with this unit, and then let's put it through the paces. I want to do all the different charging methods and then also use the AC to see if we can't build something outside today. All right, let's take a look at this thing. The first thing to note about this power station, it weighs 60 pounds, so be very careful as you pull this out of the box. It is quite heavy. All right, so besides the power station itself, this unit comes with this large power brick. So it's got the barrel plug on this side, and the reason this thing is so big, it can do 411 watts for the output. So that is that. Let's go ahead and open up the bag. So this comes with a little Velcro tab here to hold these cables together. First here, you've got your car cigarette lighter plug, which will allow this to charge from your car, to an XT90 plug over here. Moving on, you've got the aviation plug to the XT90 right here, and that will allow you to basically plug into these cables. So this one goes on to the power station first, and then you're able to connect those to do various tasks. All right, next we have an MC4 to the XT90 plug. So that will directly connect to a solar panel. And then lastly, this is the cable that goes to the AC power brick. So you can undo that and plug this right over here. And we'll be using all of these in just a moment to charge up this unit. All right, lastly, we have a little information packet. So you can open up that little card. It's got a 2-year warranty that you can fill out. And then it's got this instruction booklet. I'll go over some of those details here in just a moment. Now that you know what comes in the box, let's take a tour around this power station. For the AC output, you have 6 120 volt, 2,000 watt typical US outlets. You can open those up. The flap folds down to protect these from getting dirt and debris in them. You just press that little flap back in there and it will close nicely. Directly under the display you have the USB outputs. These are 5 volt 3 amp and a PD60. Once again, the flap folds down to protect those from getting any kind of debris or dirt in there, and they close back quite easily. Moving on to more DC output, you've got a typical 12 volt 10 amp car port right there, which will allow you to hook up things for using 12 volts. And underneath you've got 12 volt 3 amp barrel plugs, and that will allow you to plug up more DC devices down there. And then lastly over here there's the DC output 12 volt 25 amp. This unit has a single button, as you can see right here, for the power on and off. 2,000 watt hours, 2,000 watts. Here is the touchscreen display. We will get into all those features here in just a moment. The top of the unit has 2 carrying handles and 2 15-watt cell phone charging spots. The side of the unit has slits in the plastic to allow airflow on this cooling fan. The back of the unit has just one sticker with some good information about inputs and outputs. Let me zoom in so you can see that. And the last side has another fan for cooling, as you can see right here. And if you move down, you also have the input for charging this unit. Over here, you've got a 500 watt max AC input barrel plug. And over here is the location of the aviation plug input. And that can be used to charge from solar or from the car as well. So the solar has a maximum input of 12 amps, 150 volts. The car charging is 12 to 30 volts at 2 amps. Let's see what would happen if you took this unit on an ATV camping trip and had to charge it through the ATV cigarette lighter port. So first of all, let's connect the aviation plug down here. And I'm just going to get that into position. Makes a good snap. Now the XT90 plug here can be inserted. and then this will go into the cigarette lighter here on the side of the ATV. Let me go ahead and turn this on. It'll be a little bit loud, but we should be able to see the screen turn on. I'm gonna go ahead and plug this up here and see if we can get the unit to turn on. As you can see here, the unit does have about 112 watts coming in, being charged off of the carport here on this ATV. So that is working properly. Now on the aviation plug, there is a small red dot, and that needs to be lined up with the top of the connector here. And there's a pop as that clicks into place. Now that I have the solar panels connected, if I go into the settings and change the input source to PV and then back out of that, it will turn the solar panel unit on. I just realized that this is a 24 volt panel, and this power station has to have a minimum of 35 volt to work. So I think my system up on the hill will allow us to connect. So let's go up here and give it a try. I have 500 watts of solar up on the hill. I've got the Bluetti here. Let's go ahead and connect the solar down here with the aviation plug. Find our red dot. There it is. Okay, have that connected. The display has turned on immediately, and it may be hard for you to see. It's got 320 watts right now, 329. Now let's take a deep dive into the touch screen here of the Bluetti. As you can see, this is the home button up here, and it's got 67% on the battery. No car or solar panel watts coming in. There's no DC load, no AC load, and no AC wall power coming in. You can turn on the DC right here by clicking the DC and then on. And you can see it lights up here, and now the DC side of this unit is turned on. You can click that and turn it back off again. The same thing with the AC. This turns on the AC load. We can turn that off. And now if you go into the settings, for instance, earlier I was using the car power, and now here is the PV, so you can swap that back over. Here's where you would go from 60 to 50 hertz. Now here in the US, I'm going to use this at the 60 hertz. Now it's got the echo mode is on no. It's got 120 volts. And let's see, if you do next button down here, you've got language setting, buzzer, the date. So I would need to change that. There we go. All right, nice. So now all of our settings are there. If I go here, next, now you can go to data, and you can grab some information there. That's the faults there. Now it's time for the last charging method. We've got the AC wall adapter input here. We'll go ahead and plug this up to the wall. All right, this power brick now has its light on. And let me go ahead and plug this up here to the barrel plug. All right, so it's worth noting that the unit is not going to start charging until you have pressed the power button. So now we've got 389 watts coming in. Let's see if that's going to jump up anywhere closer to the 411 that this can put out. Seems to be holding steady around the 390. I'm going to let this power unit sit here and charge. Once it's reached 100%, then we can begin doing some tests. All right, this unit has now charged to 100% on the battery. Let's do a discharge test by using a timer and also this little heater. So we'll go ahead and turn the unit on. Let it initialize here. I can go to the AC and turn that on. And let's just pop open one of these little plugs here and use that to run this heater. So let me go ahead and get my stopwatch ready here. I'm going to turn this to setting 2 and then start my stopwatch. And let me bring you in a little closer so you can see the screen on the Bluetti here. So we have 848 watts. If I were to take my calculator and say 2,000 watts divided by 848 should take 2.35 hours before this unit is done. So I will step back out here in about an hour and see how it's doing, and then at 2 hours to see how it's doing. At 56 minutes, with this running at 850 to 860 watts, we are at 50% here on this battery. Okay, I accidentally turned off my stopwatch before at 56 minutes and started it immediately back. So we're at 48 minutes plus 56, and we have 2% left on the battery. And so that will be done here in just a bit. And we've got 850 to 860 watts there on the display. And the unit has just turned off. I've got the heater off here. 1 hour on this one. So we had 1 hour and 56 minutes, so just under 2 hours on this battery, running at 864 watts roughly. Now that the power station is fully discharged, let's go ahead and do a timed charge. So I'm going to reconnect the AC power adapter here, and I'm going to be plugging up to here, and then I'm going to use a stopwatch to find out how long it's going to take to recharge this battery. All right, let me go ahead and plug this up. All right, now keep in mind that even though I have plugged this up to the power adapter, it's not going to start charging until I press the power on button. So I'm going to push that, and then I'm going to go ahead and push the start button here, and there it just clicked on. So we got 370 or so watts going into the unit. So, all right, let's see how long it's going to take to charge up this power station using the AC adapter. It took right at 5 hours and 45 minutes to fully charge this unit. Now it is worth noting that the power brick light is still on, so that's using a bit of power, and the display is still on, and it has not turned off on its own. So this unit will stay powered up, so you do have to push the power button in order to turn this off after it has been charged. And then also, it's probably worth unplugging. And now that I have the Bluetti AC200P fully charged again, I want to throw several things at it. So first of all, I ran a circular saw and kicked up a lot of dust, and I want to show you how the covers are protecting here. So let me zoom in real quick so you can see. As you can see right here on top of this rubber cover, it has kept out that sawdust quite well. So that is definitely a good feature to have to keep out the unwanted debris there on these ports. Okay, so that's good. Next, I do want to try out these DC ports. So let's turn on the unit here to get the power going. So I've got a little speaker that needs to have a regular USB type A. So let's go ahead and turn on our DC here. Okay, that's on. So let's just open one of these ports, plug that right up, and it is on. Hopefully you can see the little red light right there. Okay, now I want to try out the USB type C port here, the PD60 Let's plug that one up, and this should be able to charge my kid's little tablet here. Yep, that's charging. Okay, so that port is working well. And now I've got a little air compressor that I want to plug up here to the car charging port. So let's go ahead and open that one. Okay, fan turns on. We'll go ahead and push the button here. No problems there. All right, let's go ahead and pull that one out because it's so loud. All right, very good. And now I want to show something about this unit. You're able to charge and discharge the AC here at the same time. So let me go ahead and do this. Now let's go ahead and test out the time it takes to turn the inverter on and have this light come on. So if I go ahead and press here, AC on. So okay, you got like 1 second and that comes right on. So all right, turn that off immediately. So that is very quick to do its thing there. All right, so now I want to go ahead and show you that if I plug up the AC here, you're able to use this device and charge at the same time. So let me bring out this big power brick here, get this plugged up. All right, I have the power brick plugged into the wall. Go ahead and plug this in here to the power station. Oh, my head. So it's charging at 388 watts there. So if I turn this back on to the AC side, so it now has this bright light on over here. Let me show you what that looks like. So there you go, that's on. Now this does not have UPS, so if I were to unplug this, it stops charging, but it doesn't really affect the pass-through power here. If I go into the settings mode here, I can see that it is 120 volt at 60 hertz. So let's go back here to the home, turn on the AC inverter, and then I have got a multimeter here that I can test out the voltage here. So let's see what we get. All right, we've got 118 volts right there. Now the last thing I want to do is see if I can't max out the inverter. And so I've got this same heater we used before. I'm going to plug that up. This thing can use up to about 1200 watts if it is running at full. And then I also have this heater here, and that should be able to run at 1500 watts. So it may take a moment or two, but hopefully we'll be able to get this unit to trigger the high wattage here. So let's go ahead and do AC on. All right. So first of all, I'm going to turn this all the way up to max here. So it just jumped up to 1400 real quick. So that is running at full. So we got 1382. And now if I click this on to the number 2 setting here. All right, 2600 watts. It has triggered a fault. Let's see if we can get it to turn off here. There we go. All right, so we just triggered that to shut off. Let's go in the menu and see what the fault is. There it is. Inverter overload right there. That's the one we just hit. So number 31 is inverter overload. And let's see if we can't turn this back on. Nope. All right. Let me shut down the whole unit and see if we get this error code to go away. Turn the unit back on, and hopefully it has reset everything. Okay, looks like our lights are blinking again. Let me click this on to the low setting. Yep, now we've got 1000 watts, so it has turned back on again. The Bluetti AC200P has an AC output of 2000 watts, 88% efficiency. The overload capacity, it's able to run 2000 watts continuous. It'll have 2500 watts for 2 minutes. If it's over 2500 watts, it will shut down immediately. On the DC side, it has 12 volt 25 amp. It can do 12 volt 10 amp, 12 volt 3 amp, and has USB Type A and Type C output. Has 2 wireless charging ports on the top. It has AC charging, 100 to 240 volts AC. The maximum charging voltage is 58.8 volts DC. Maximum is 500 watts. It can be charged by a car at 11.5 to 14.4 volts, 23 to 28.8 volts. Solar panel, it can accept 12 amps. Max input from solar is 700 watts. The battery on this unit is 2000 watt hours at 40 amp hours. The voltage range is 41.5 volts to 58.4 volts. This unit has a charging range between 32 degrees Fahrenheit and 113 Fahrenheit. The AC200P seems to be a solid, well-built unit. There are a few things that I would change about it. The number one thing is that whenever you plug up the AC power brick right here and the unit is not turned on, it won't start charging on its own. Now if you have solar and the sun comes up, this unit gets the correct voltage, it will start charging on its own. But as far as the AC adapter, you have to have the power button here turned on before it will start charging. So that's definitely something that I would change. Also, after using the AC adapter, once the unit is charged, the screen stays on and it seems to continue to use your power inside of here a little bit. Now once the unit is charged, it stops pulling that 380 or so watts, but it does keep the screen on, so I'm sure there is still a trickle of power going into this, so keep that in mind as well. Now on a personal note, this unit does not have an LED light. Sometimes it's nice to be able to just click on a light. The screen itself is bright enough that you could find your way. Of course, you wouldn't be holding this as a flashlight, but sometimes it's just nice to sit by your power station while camping and do a little reading. So there is no LED on here. Now, the last thing that I had as a complaint is that the bag is just slightly too small to properly store the AC adapter. So if the bag was just slightly bigger, it would be better. So for instance, if I take this and put it in there all the way to the end, that much of it is going to still hang out the top. And so you can still cinch it down and it holds everything in there, but it would just be nice if it were just a little bit bigger to keep all of these cords from falling out if you didn't cinch down everything here with the drawstring. So anyway, let me tighten this down. There you go. So just that much is sticking out, keeping it open. So that's just another thing that I would change there. Now, as far as build quality goes, rock solid. I've actually been able to hold this thing with one handle and walk, which not recommended, but you can do it. It's strong enough. It's 60 pounds, so two hands, definitely better. Two cell phone charging ports, very nice to have, especially if you are camping with a big family. You want to be able to charge multiple units there. The unit did have a little bit of fan noise when using the AC adapter to charge this, but it wasn't loud enough to really be much of an issue. So, for my personal opinion, 2 thumbs up on the Bluetti AC200P. I'll have a link in the description down below if you want to check out more information on this power station. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.